Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net. To inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Hey guys, welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, brought to you by GetcaughtinANet Incorporated. I'm your host, Annette Harris. Thank you so much for joining us on this afternoon, for watching and or listening. Listen, let me let you know there are a few ways that you can listen to us on today. I am here on live on my Facebook page, Annette, Get Caught in a Net, and then also on YouTube, GetcaughtinANet Incorporated. You can hear us there. At the end of the broadcast, we will upload the video portion of this segment. And then I am going to we're actually live on Instagram, on my Instagram account, GetcaughtinANet. All right, guys. So there are 3 different ways you can listen and or watch us on today. I'm so excited. Today is a special segment. We're here on a different day, a different time than we normally are, but it is for a reason. I normally like to try and coordinate with my guests to make sure that we are on the same page, especially if it's a hot topic as we are discussing on today. Well, today is more, it's more of a sensitive subject, but we are going to talk about this on today. I have a beautiful guest with me, as you can see, with me in the virtual studio, if you will. I have the beautiful Bridgette Rouse is here on this afternoon. And how are you doing? I want to ask first and foremost.
You know what? I'm very well. I'm very well. And I will say that I'm normally not here. I think I shared that with you before. I'm normally not here in the States. It's a new experience the pandemic has brought, has had me grounded for 2 years. In that, there's been some learning about self, and I realized I really enjoy being away from that for the holidays. But yes, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. I'm laughing a little bit. My co-host on my other show, I normally ask him how's he doing, and then he just slides on past and don't even ask me how I'm doing, but that's okay. But I appreciate. So it's like our running joke now. But anyway, but I appreciate you asking me. I'm doing well. And like I said, I'm really excited about this particular session. And I think I see your sister. I think your sister's on the Facebook. Is Angela here? I think I saw you.
I see you. Do you see me, Ann?
Right. Thanks for coming in, Angela. And look, I didn't think my co-host from the other show was watching. He just gave me one of these big eyes, like, okay, you really telling off on me. How are you doing, Apostle Hunt? Thanks for coming in, sir. I see Latoya's on and watching. There were some other names. Beatrice, do I see you? Yes, thanks for coming in, sweetie. He said, I'll be asking you how you doing. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, Apostle. I just threw that in there. Just kind of reminded me. But listen, let me do this. I want to read a short bio that I have here of Bridgette on this afternoon. And can I throw this in here? I have to.
Yes.
This young lady and I, we connected so well when we talked on the phone. Oh my God. I love her. I do. I love her. She is a sweetheart, and we are just able to just talk. Okay. So even if we didn't have this show today, we did enough talking. But anyway, I wanted you guys to hear from her. So it has here, Bridgette Rouse has many layers. One of her layers is resilience. And I definitely see that. She's a marathoner and what? I don't think I realized that. Yeah. And believes in the importance of giving back to undeserved areas in Chicago. Bridgette has trained and mentored undeserved teens in Chicago to run both half and full marathons for well over 8 years. With mentoring teens, Bridgette believes many undeserved Black people and teens would thrive with a fully enriched life with the help of a psychologist. Yes, you're talking my language. One of Bridgette's missions is to speak with more Black adults and teens about the importance of mental wellness. She understands the Black church has a strong place for decades with Black people. She believes worship is a beautiful gift, as is the work involved with mental illness. Now, see, this is exactly why we connect. I promise you, it's exactly why we connect. And because I was telling her as we were talking, I said, Bridgette, that's the basis of my show. This is the basis of my show here. So we're on the same page here. It also says she resides in Chicago with her best running partner for her border. Is it collie dog Sky?
Yeah, Sky is lying here now taking a nap. But Sky is no longer running with me. She's 14 years of age.
Oh, she got too old, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I can still do 3 miles though.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, wonderful. Well, it has here that you were born to write, and that you're currently writing your memoir entitled No One Ever Said This Will Be Easy. Says here that you're a talented writer, having the ability to give music to her written words. Her words coming together, penetrating the hearts and minds of her audience. And I was able to hear one of her spoken word pieces when we initially met. And as a bonus today, I think she's still prepared to do that at some point during the show. Okay, I don't want to put you on blast if you weren't still ready to do it. But no, this is great. And welcome again to Mind, Body, and Soul, Get Caught in the Net, Bridgette Rouse. So guys, thank you for coming in, watching us, and welcoming her in. So I want to get started because I'm so excited about this topic. And I don't know if I can, well, I guess I can use the word excited. I'm in this subject has really, really, really touched me since I was, and I have to give a huge shout out to Damon Reed and Nicole Reed, because this is actually how you and I connected. The art exhibition that Nicole put on for her husband to display his work is where we met October 22nd. I remember that day specifically. And Damon has painted murals all over the city of Chicago and outside of Chicago as well, trying to bring more attention to our people of color that are missing. And I applaud him, I uplift him, I encourage him, because I think it's such a wonderful thing. And Damon decided to do a portrait or mural of your sister, Sonya Rouse. So let's kind of begin there, if you will, and talk about, I want to talk about the Rouse family first before we start talking about Sonya. We have a few things that we're going to unpack on today, guys. So I kind of wanted to, when I presented to her and asked her to come on to be my guest on today, I asked her if we could talk about how the holidays affect your family when you have a loved one that's missing. Now, I want to throw this in here, and I'll probably say it again, that when you have a loved one missing, that's something totally different than you actually having someone to pass away and you having a funeral service for them and everything, because at that point you can get some kind of closure, you know, if you will. And I think you kind of agree with me on that. So let's talk about the Rouse family. Let me go back to that, because I don't want to get ahead of myself and asking so many questions or making so many statements. So why don't we begin there?
So there's three. My mother will start. It's a small family. And so there's my mom, and her name is Shirley Enoch Hill. I have two sisters. My older sister, you've mentioned, Sonya. And then I have my middle sister, Angela. Angela doesn't reside here in Chicago. She left me. So I'm here bearing Chicago alone.
In the cold.
Yes, she's somewhere warm and 70 degrees. So that is our small knit. My mother only had 3 children. And then my aunt, Gloria, is like a second mom, because, you know, she just kind of stepped in when she wouldn't even have to step in. Really, she was just a part of our everyday footing. I think that she was responsible for, I know she was responsible for a lot of positive things in each and every one of our lives. My life, my sister Angela, as well as Sonya. So I don't really even look at her as an aunt. She's like I said, a second mom. And Gloria has 5 children. And those are our first cousins, which are really like our sisters and brothers. She has 3 adult soldiers at one point. And then she has 2 adult daughters. And again, they're like sisters and brothers. So our family is really small. And then of course, people have had children, making the number, you know, larger. So the second cousins, they look at us as auntie and uncle, because again, we look at their parents as our sister and brother. You know, and so then they have had children. Some of them have had children, but that kind of grew the Rouse family. But around the holidays and things of that nature, it's pretty small. I can't say that we have people spread about around the 50 states, right? So when we would get together around the holidays, it would just be Gloria's family, and then my mother, and you know, some of us we married, so we go to one place and then come in and do all of that. So it's a small knit family, and I will. Obviously, we know that as we grow up, we begin to get closer to some, and some we don't love from a distance. We still carry them in our heart, but we go through our different, I always call it climbing our mountains of sorts. And some family members will assist in some areas of your life, and that draws you closer. So I will say my aunt most certainly has helped me with my health down through the years as a child. She's, she stepped in as well. And I'll talk about being funny. She's the funnier of my mother, and my mom had 2 siblings. So my Uncle Barry, he passed away relatively young, and my grandmother, everyone referred to her as Mama. And so Mama passed away as well. So they're in their heavenly resting place. And so, yeah, that's pretty much when we would have barbecues, it would be small. Glow's family, my mother's, we would come. And then as we grew up, some people would come, drop in, drop out, depending on if they were vacationing, depending on what was going on in their lives, things of that nature. So, yeah, I would say that one word that comes to mind when it comes to the Rouse family would be care. You can, you can't pick your family. So, so some members of the family, whether or not I speak to them every day, whether or not they know my everyday footing or even my monthly footing or some of my personal goals, the word care still is woven within that, with each and every person within the Rouse family. So that's who we are. That's who we are. We're like every other family. We have our ups, we have our downs, we have our problems that we need to embrace. And it depends on what journey you're in, whether or not you're able to embrace it at that time. I am pretty transparent. I think that you got that when we spoke. I am pretty transparent. I think that one of the reasons why some teens that I've mentored have connected with me is because I'm okay with sharing my personal footing. I'm okay with letting people know that mistakes are a part of our growing process. What do we do with those mistakes? How do we grow into the best versions of ourselves? And I will say that the years that I spent with mentoring teenagers in Chicago, it really enriched me. Some of the teens still are connected with me via social media. I was walking down Michigan Avenue recently and someone called out Miss Bridgette. And I turned around, it was an adult woman. And so I said, Cassandra? So she said, yes, you remember me. And she's running down Michigan Avenue hugging me. And so I was like, how old are you now? And she said she was 27. And I said, okay, I'm getting really old. But I still remembered her though. But yeah, I run into a lot of teenagers that have jobs at Target, part-time jobs or whatever. And they still remember me. And most certainly, just because you're in your 20s, I met you maybe age 14 through 17, your face still looks the same to me. So right. Some kids, their story and their journey still resonates with me.
Yeah.
So they, you're not supposed to have teachers pet, but some teenagers required a little bit more of me to give. Yeah. So that's the joy.
Yeah, but obviously you resonated with them because they still remember you. Yeah. I remember, I'm gonna throw this in here. I remember some years ago when one of my childhood teachers passed away. Mm-hmm. We got a chance to see like a lot of the, former teachers and, when I, was in school, when I was in grade school. And one of them actually said at the end of the funeral, they said, you know what? We always remember 2 types of children, the good ones and the bad ones. And they talking, my sister and I were there and they said, but you guys, our maiden name is Gaston. The Gaston girls, you guys were the best, you were good, so we remember you in that respect. We were like, oh, okay, that makes us feel good.
Oh, so you didn't know I did this then.
If I even tried to do it, Mary Gaston would have my head, but anyway, yeah. So I can attest to or listen to, how you said the young lady was running down the street and calling your name. Obviously you made a great impact on those that you have been mentoring and been there for, which makes a huge difference. And that's exactly what we need. you gave the one description of care for your family. I heard that, and I also heard the closeness, how close your family is. And that is important, and it's key as we go through life, and especially what you guys have had to deal with in, your sister going missing. So that, I'm sure, was something that helped you and your family to deal with.
I will say that we could have been there more for each other, and to just be completely honest and lay cards on the table. We can always learn, obviously, from our yesterday, if we're willing to stand in our truth, right? And so I'm willing to allow any lights. I don't look at dim light, I look at bright light. And so, it was, I think that my sister, Sonya, she was diagnosed being bipolar. And so she had her struggles with mental illness, and she had her struggles with not letting the medication wait long enough, and then I'm going to self-induce with alcohol and things of that nature. So so sometimes she would go missing. When I say go missing, I'm just referring to 3 days my mom hasn't talked to her. Okay, it would never be a week. So, or, 4 days, and my mother's like, okay, she would call my sister Angela, have you spoke to your sister? Have you spoke to your sister to me? And then my mother would, go to where she lived. But I will say that when she went missing, a week passed, and my mother knew that that was not her character to be gone for a week, especially not touching base with my mother. And so, I think that each and every one of us has carried a sense of heaviness that we haven't necessarily spoke at the Rouse level, at the family level, as to what that heaviness feels like, like the second cousins. We haven't really opened up and had that dialogue. But I know that my nieces, my second cousins, I know that they, there's this void, like you said at the beginning of your show. And so, I think that people work on themselves individually, and that's fine, okay? Whether or not that's psychological, whether or not that's worship, whether or not it's a marriage of both, which is a beautiful thing. But are we sharing enough of that journey? And I will say that perhaps not. Perhaps we could be more open with each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can see that. And as you were talking, and I'm glad you're transparent about that, but as you were talking, I was thinking that this was a situation where you guys really haven't had to deal with. Now, you mentioned about the short term when she wouldn't, contact or reach out to you all, but this was different now. It's been a week. So you knew that there was something different, something going on. So I'm saying that to say, you probably could have benefited, from more contact with your family or more closeness to help you get through it. But then this is like, oh my God, what's happening now? This is something different now that we're all dealing with, and everybody deals with situations differently.
Absolutely.
Everybody deals with death differently. Everybody deals with grief differently. You know what I'm saying? So, and you just reminded me, I do recall that when my mom became sick with cancer, we all dealt with it in a different way.
Sure.
Some of us are very standoffish. I want to talk about it. And some of us were kind of like, if an argument started up, or disagreement started up, it was easy to do. But if you look back at it, why did that disagreement come? Because you were trying to deal with this, in a certain way. So I can understand. I can fully understand that.
Sure.
That you probably wish that there could have been, or, maybe not even only you, maybe Angela's on here. She probably would wish, or whatever, it could have been a little bit more to help you guys get through it. But again, it was something different that your family dealt with. That was kind of foreign. Maybe I can use that word.
Yeah, I will say that definitely foreign. And I think that once everyone came to grips, it's something about seeing your loved one on the news. Okay. And once you come to grips, I mean, my sister Angela was involved in, the visual of my sister going out, putting up flyers. You had my cousins also helping with that. So they were beating the streets. My sister Angela, she is a petite, beautiful woman, but she is strong. She's a very strong woman, and she has a very heavy, beautiful relationship with God. And so she was out there beating the streets, and I was beating with Chicago PD. And so I was, really in the trenches with Chicago PD, and escalating and speaking with captains and commanders, and knowing the process of when I should escalate. I think I shared that with you, that you should only leave it in one area for a limited amount of time. When it comes to a missing, 48 hours is not your friend. Okay. And so I'm having weekly, every Wednesday, calls with Chicago PD, with detective and a sergeant and a captain on the call. So that was every Wednesday. There were a lot of graphic details shared with those calls. And then I would then get the call and share this information with my sister Angela. Sometimes I would do a conference call with my sister Angela and my mother. And it would be very, very depleting, because sometimes I had nothing to give on those calls. Sometimes it's like, okay, should I even call? I have nothing to give to them. And you start losing faith. Not in the worship sense, but losing faith in the system of Chicago PD, and actually trying to truly find my sister. You start, every phone call that I had, I was getting more and more aggressive with those phone calls. And it's really amazing to me. I think because I was married to a police officer for 25 years. It's amazing to me of the things that I know for certain, and conversations that have been had in my presence, and how cases are actually worked differently on the South Side than it is on the North Side. How a person can go missing, a homicide can happen right near a police station in the 5th District, and 5th District meaning off of 111th. And that those crimes, several people dead, several, like well more than 20, and yet those crimes never hit the news.
Never.
But then if there is a person of non-color on the North Side by the Wrigley area that has drank too much and got into a bar fight, and that fight led to one of those persons' demise, then that is shared on the news, and that person will be apprehended. And so when you use the word closure, there's closure with death, but there's still pain there. But then you have the missing, and then you have this other beast that's in the room. And I don't think I even had time to just weep, because I was just going. I had to always, on that Tuesday night, knowing Wednesday was a call-in day, and I had to be on point, not showing emotion, ready to have that. You're ready to cross that road, I'm right there at that corner, I'm ready for you. I had to always be on with dealing with, the detective. And so it is an exhausting process. And so I think that that also is very painful. I think that you have the pain of obviously your loved one, my sister is missing. And then you have the pain of knowing that you guys are going through the motion on these calls, but are you really working the case? Are you really working the leads of this case? And so it was depleting. It was depleting. And so that went on, those calls went on for at least about a month and a half.
Oh my God.
And so sometimes we'd get close to closure, bodies found, things of that nature, and they would call and say, you know, my mother needs to give DNA at the coroner's office. I don't know exactly what that feels like because I don't have children. What it feels like to go to the coroner's office and say, here is my DNA in case my daughter shows up here. And I don't know what those physical footsteps, her walking through that coroner's office and going back to her car, you know, so my mother is stronger than she even realizes, okay? But, you know, I think that when a person gives their DNA, you know, they're leaving it up to the family to actually continually to call the coroner's office. So it's almost like these bites. Every time you call the coroner's office, I left my DNA, and then you would sometimes, okay, we'll call you back. Never, they wouldn't call back. And my mother would call again. So every time she's calling, just imagine that, waiting on the call, you've given your DNA, you're looking for an answer, but if they come back to the phone and say, yes, we have a hit, what, in that silent moment, you know, what does that feel like other than breaking pain? That is trauma. And I think that from a psychological standpoint, sometimes we're so in the midst of running our best race. Sometimes we're so in the middle of making sure that our buttons are straight, that we miss the fact that you're missing a few buttons because you're in the middle of trauma. But it's okay because I'll just hold this coat closed. I'm not gonna open it up. I'm just gonna hold it closed. I know I'm missing a couple of buttons, and those buttons are really a correlation of trauma, but it's okay. I'm fine, I'm okay. I'm just gonna hold this coat closed. And so I think that that's what each and every one of us at some point we're going through. Oh, I'm okay, the buttons are straight, okay, I'll just hold it closed. And so I feel very, very lucky, okay, very lucky to have had a relationship with psychology. And I think I have a relationship with science in my life and understand the importance of science. Right. From an early age, I started my psychological journey with a psychologist at the age of 19. And so those threads, you know, and so I think that some people will say, oh, in my family, Bridgette is having a surgery. Okay, Bridgette is having this procedure done, right? My sister, Angela, is such a beautiful person. She sent me a text recently and she said, I'm not sure, I hope you're having a pain-free day. Something paraphrases that. And she said, I'm not sure why God has handed these different illnesses to you. I didn't reply to her with that text because I sat with it, right? And so Angela, she's listening to this, I sat with an Angela. And I want you to know that being physically ill sometimes is a gift for some. sometimes we can sit in ourselves when we're sick. Sit with ourselves, sit in ourselves. Some people, myself, I'm too busy with those buttons straight and crooked buttons that if I am not physically sick, I will just keep holding my coat closed. You know, and so in different procedures and surgeries that I've had down through the years, I don't look at it as, you know, wonder why God has all these different moving pieces physically with you. And I think that it has led me to a closer relationship from a psychological standpoint of getting to know myself in these different layers. And I know for sure that if I had not started that journey so early on in life, I'm not sure that I would be the person that I am today. Yeah.
Wow. Whew. Bridgette, I got to take a second. My goodness, you know, you got tears coming out my eyes, and I'm hearing the writer in you come out with those eloquent analogies that you're doing. But this is something. I do want to encourage you guys that are listening to us on today. If you have any questions or comments for Bridgette on today and the discussion at hand, please make sure that you throw them into the comment section. I will do my best to hop back and forth and read them. As you were talking, I'm sorry, let me just recognize a couple of people. Inda, Taking Courage. I see you guys over here on Instagram, and there were some comments here on Facebook Live, and I will hop to you on YouTube as well to make sure that we're addressing everyone. Brandy says here, my heart is absolutely breaking for her, but I feel so honored to be able to have such an intimate and honest view on such a situation. It feels like something you don't deserve to understand unless you're going through it. And Brandy, you kind of hit that on the head as I was prepping for this segment and even the verbiage. Shout out to you, Brandy, because Brandy, I don't know, I know you were loving the promo that was created. Bridgette, Brandy is she's the brains and beauty behind that. So she created that. But some of my verbiage for that, I was saying, you know what? Because I think your sister went missing. What was it? They have March 5th.
Yeah, March 5th.
2016. And I put in the verbiage, I said that day may have been just a regular day to many of us, but to the Rouse family and those who are affected, you know, by Sonya's missing, it wasn't just a regular day. You know, as you look back on things and the time frame, because it's been what, 5 years, little over almost 6 years, going on 6 years in March. But it's something, you know, because just in an instant, almost your lives changed. And that's something that you have had to deal with. And I'm telling you, I'm going to get myself together today, because this subject itself is near and dear to me, not because I've experienced it personally, but I think sometimes that the Lord allows me to take on, you know, the feelings of different ones who are going through certain situations for whatever reason. He's given it to me, maybe so I can empathize, sympathize, whichever word you want to use in that situation, but so that I can understand and not necessarily push it to, you know, the back of the room or out of my head. But people are really hurting, and being able to use this platform here to bring light to it, exposure to it, that's what I want to do. That's definitely what I want to do. More comments here. Let's see. If you feel like you can't trust the officials, then you can't even enjoy any kind of peace without taking on the search yourself. That's from Brandy. And as you were talking, she made that comment. Mother Knight, I see you watching. Thank you so much. I get some of the mothers from my church, they watch my show. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you to those who have been tagging individuals. Janice, I do see you. Elder McGee, I see you. There were other names here that I was trying to get to, but I don't want to, I try to recognize each of you because I appreciate you for joining me. And again, click that share button. because we want to push this out and get as many to see this and to hear this particular segment and what it is that that's really happening around us, because this is happening all around us. You know, unfortunately, this happened to Sonya. I was looking, Bridgette, at some of these stats on that foundation that I was telling you about, the Black and Missing Inc.com. When you guys get a chance, you can go and check that out. But it has here, oh my God, over 543,000 persons reported missing in 2020. 37% are minority. So almost 40% of missing persons are persons of color. And then they say here 13% of African Americans make up that population. But it's crazy. I mean, it's happening all around us and we don't even realize it. You know what I mean? We're just going on about our day. You know, we got our kids, we got our, loved ones, still surrounding us, with us. We'll be with them on holidays and all of that. But it's something that we have to stop. Even if it hasn't happened to you, we got to stop. We got to see what's going on here, seeing what we can do to prevent, and then to help these families that are dealing with this. I'm going to go to my other questions that I have here for you. So you kind of touched a little bit already on about the police involvement or lack thereof that you face with. And my heart was going out to you, as you said, every Tuesday night, you knew that you had to on a Wednesday get on the call. That was how you dealt with it. You dealt with, you like basically head on, rammed into it. I need you guys to, help me find my sister, basically. And somebody had to do that. Just like you mentioned, your mom had to give her DNA, and you don't know what all was going through her mind. And she was going through that process. Your sister Angela passing out flyers and everything. How, and I'm just going to ask this question. How were you, or do you feel when you have the fact of persons of non-color not getting the exposure from the media, but you see plastered all over everywhere, the people of non-color, they're getting all this advertisement, they're on national news. We know the one that most recently, I'm not even going to call the name. I'm just going to be honest, I didn't even really want to look at everything because they would pop it up every single time the news came on. And I'm like, I don't even want to hear that. Not that I didn't care about the individual, but you can definitely see that there was not a balance in terms of who they, publicized.
Sure.
And that's what I didn't like. So tell me, how was Bridgette, maybe even the Rouse family, if feeling, while your sister is missing, but yet the exposure is being given to other situations and families and those others of non-color that are missing?
It's systemic. Is it surprising to me? Absolutely not. It still does not mean that it doesn't evoke emotion. And that's so initially, what the case that you're referring to, the young woman, she was on CNN. They did a 2020 special on, with this young lady. My heart goes out to her family. That was not a missing case. That ended up being a homicide. But did it deserve that level of attention? You had FBI, you had the marshals involved looking for the boyfriend, and they were in their 20s with a road trip type of deal. So I'm a CNN person. I would consider myself a liberal without question. And so when CNN would come on, I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, are we that low on a news day that we have to now look at this as a global Now, do I think that her family should have been working at the local level with police and getting some level of cooperation and resolvement relating to their loved one? Sure, at the local level. However, do I think that that case should have been on Channel 5, 9, to ABC, NBC here in Chicago and CNN? Absolutely not. It should not have been globally a global case unless it is globally impacting the world. And so I was surprised. I even saw it on BBC. It's just like, okay, it's reached the UK, with this story. So yeah, without question, is it surprising? Absolutely not. Does it show us as people of color that we are not necessarily embraced? Okay, our concerns with our loved ones is equal to a white person's concerns relating to their missing. So it goes right back to systemic. I have been on the opposite side sometimes in corporate America when I was in corporate America. And I remember it's really deep. I remember one time interviewing several candidates for a position. And there were 3 candidates that were Black and about 4 candidates that were white. And, we went to lunch. We were going to make an offer with these candidates. We went to lunch. I got back to the room before everyone else, okay? And someone had went in and taken the resumes, and some was turned over face down and some were turned face up with a check mark. And when I looked at the resumes, I realized that all of the African-American candidates, the resumes were turned down. This is a huge company that a market name that everyone would know about. And so when I'm the only person of color in the room, and there's 3 other people there, and so I said, I can ignore this, or do I ever ignore anything, or do I show up? So I showed up. I said, it seems that someone must have come in while we were at lunch and disshuffled the resumes, okay? So I use this in correlation with, are Blacks treated equally when it comes to corporate? No. Are there crimes work the same way relating to our missings? No. Okay. A Black woman raped, will it be taking the same steps when it comes to special victims as to a white woman that is sexually assaulted while running at the lake? No. So it's so many layers as to from a crime, from corporate America. It's systemic. That is the only word I can use. It feels like it's exhausting. It's exhausting. You don't want to have the title of the angry Black woman, right?
Yeah.
And why is it that if a Black woman speaks up and say, hey, I need you to take accountability for not doing A, B, or C relating to my sister's case, oh, that Black woman is aggressive. That Black woman is angry. Why is she so angry? I'm asking you a direct question. There's no anger in it. I need a direct response. And so, so it is quite emotional, and it does create a level of, so we're not important. So my sister doesn't count. Okay. So yes, it would be times that I would watch CNN that I would literally have to fast forward, okay? Because I record certain shows, I would have to fast forward, and then it was hitting in other areas. The New York Times picked it up. So I'm like, okay, I'll just read my news until this passes. Then the New York Times picks it up. Then the Washington Post picks it up. So so it is definitely exhausting. It's exhausting. And say, well, Bridgette, why are you exhausted? It's exhausting being Black, okay? Being Black and being embracing who you are and your ethnicity. It's exhausting being Black and speaking up in this country. I can't even say it's Chicago because it's all over. It is exhausting being a Black person in this country. And I think that that's one of the reasons why the travel for me has given me slices of, okay, this here seems peaceful. This, and even though there are layers of racism in different countries, is not so in your face here. In Chicago, I can go, to Michigan Avenue and go into Saks. If I'm wearing running clothes and I'm with a white person and they're wearing running clothes, I'm not going to get that mascara that I went in for. But this person who I ran with is sweaty just like me, and she's going to get the necessary attention. So it's exhausting. It's exhausting because you're constantly having to educate, number one. That piece there, I'm okay with having any conversation, but I do think that there are a lot of white people that want to be involved, okay, in helping and truly care. But in the same sense, I'm ready to have that conversation, but white folk need to be ready to have those uncomfortable conversations. And some white people are not. And it is uncomfortable, but you have to realize it's uncomfortable living as a Black person in Chicago, thriving as a Black person in Chicago and in this country. So go ahead and be uncomfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable. There lies your growth. And so it creates a level of emotion for me that is angry. I am grateful that I have the tools from a psychological standpoint to know and to recognize that this is anger. What do I do with that? I have to do something tangible with my hands and my feet for my mind to move forward. Okay. And realize, what is this? Is this that family? Or is this racism yet again showing up? Okay, and it's hard. The gentleman that I date is Italian, and he's even able to to see it. Like, really, do we really need this on CNN? Is this really global? This is really wherever that young lady went missing. This is at the local level. Why is Bridgette? Why is FBI involved? They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be involved, okay? Unless we're dealing with a child that has been abducted, they shouldn't be involved. So so it's just another form of racism. That's all.
Yeah. You hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. I just want to know what you guys were thinking, or you yourself were thinking about it, because I had to pray about my responses and my feelings. Again, I am concerned, about people in general.
Sure.
I was concerned about her, but the exposure that it received, that's what I was having an issue with. So thank you for answering that. I see, Hortense, that you have joined us. Thank you so much. Nicola Jones, I appreciate you. Mary Havis, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Again, make sure you guys, when you come in, you click that share button. We're talking today with Bridgette Rouse, and she is the sister of Sonya Rouse. She unfortunately has been missing for 5 years. This March made 5 years. And we're talking today about how, dealing with having a missing loved one, how it affects your life. We are going to, talk about how it affects you during the holidays, but basically how it affects your life and your family's life, and how they're dealing with it. So Bridgette is really sharing. She's transparent. She told me she's an open book. She's transparent about, her feelings. And I'm glad and grateful for that, because, sometimes I can see, we can look on the news, we can see, different things. You're talking about this one's missing, that one's missing. but you never really know until you talk to an individual that's going through that, how they're feeling or how they're dealing with this. We just see the lights and the camera, being on TV or whatever. I've seen a few of her, Bridgette's interviews herself, talking about this situation. But again, talking with her one-on-one is what we're doing here on today. And, trying to bring it, full circle to each of us that may or may not have dealt with this situation. We need to open up our minds and understand and know that, again, I've said this already, people are hurting, but what can we do to help them or to help the situation? Brandy's response when we were talking about, that big case that got all the exposure, she says here, it was the perfect formula for world coverage, and it only required one factor. And we all know what that factor is. Let's see. I'm scrolling up to make sure that I did not miss any comments that you guys had on here. Okay. Well, I don't see anything right that I did not read, but let me move forward to what else I had here. Going through this. So you had the March 5th when it initially happened, and then you come up to, your first year or the months leading up to your first year. How difficult was it for you to keep hope alive? And there's no pun intended with that. I know Jesse Jackson has that slogan, but how important was it for you, and how difficult was it for you to try and keep hope alive for your sister? Not only that first year, but even now, we're in 2021. I don't know where you guys are mentally with it. So maybe we can start there, because it's been so long.
I will say that the first year, like I said earlier, every one of us have a process. I think that I did not share some of these calls that I was having with every person that's in the family. So I just gave this filtered information. Some of the information that came from the calls I didn't share with my sister, Angela, or my mother, because some of the information was quite graphic. Okay. The first year, I personally, I can only speak for myself, that I was still very much so believing that we're still in a hunt, we're still going to find her. And as the year went into the second year, there was this switch with me personally. And the switch with me, I can only say with me personally, that I began to feel this heaviness and a light as well. And Sonya would come in my day in such a way that it's like, what am I doing thinking about you? Like I'm just driving, and my sister Sonya liked Mary J. Blige, and that song would come on, right? I would be on a run, and then I would be in a turnaround, and I would come back, and I would hear the trees, the wind blowing, and I would look up, and then I could feel her. I could feel her, and it was such a physical feeling that and I said, oh, like you're with me. I can feel you. And so it was this heaviness that, okay, is she taking earthly steps? That's the void of not knowing. But then there was this lightness that she kept coming in really kind of different ways, moving in my weeks in different ways. And so I remember talking to my psychologist, and she says, what do you believe? And I said, I believe that my sister is finally at peace, but my family is not. I believe that my sister Angela takes more peaceful steps because of her foundated relationship with Christ. But I believe that my mother has a foundated relationship with Christ as well. But that is her child. And she believes Sonya is just right around, maybe down this street. Maybe if I drive over here, I feel like I might see Sonya today. So that's this fragmented. And so I think that I look at things from a science standpoint sometimes, and I say, okay, that's that psychological piece, Bridgette, that's given you this leg up, okay? It hasn't come easy, but it's giving you this leg up. So everyone handles this in a different way, but it is really important I would love to have a joyful celebration sending my sister home. Okay, I don't need a body. I can have a joyful, uplifted, spirited way of sending her to her resting place, but not everybody is there yet. So you have to, for me, there's a level of patience that you gift onto people. And that's where it is. Is it painful? It's still painful. And there's a cut. It's still a huge void. The holidays are, sometimes I would be here, sometimes I wouldn't be, but her birthday, and I think I shared this with you, my sister's birthday is August 11th. And the entire month she comes in on me for not just her birthday. And it's just like, okay, I feel you here. I can feel you. I'm taking a shower. I can feel you in my apartment. And I don't know what it is around August, I start feeling this sense of this is heaviness and a lightness again. This, okay, walk with me here, this lightness. And then it's this really deep, soulful weeping at the same time. So that's been going on now for about 5 years. And
Wow.
And I wanted to know, I think I spoke to my sister about it several years ago. Like, how do you handle Sonya's birthday? How do you handle the month of August? And she's more at peace, in August. I'm sure she has her days. But for me, like you were saying, that sometimes you can feel things from other people. I'm most certainly that person as well. Okay. And so I'm not sure exactly what I think that these things are leading us somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. However, we have to follow. And I sometimes have trouble with following. So is this a lesson? Is she coming in for me to follow something, and I'm sitting still? So she keeps coming in. So, so it's something to actually think about, and to lean in. So I'm still leaning. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. You're so poetic. You are definitely a writer. But it's amazing. And again, as we stated already earlier, everybody handles things differently, whether it's trauma or what have you. And for you to, say this is how you got through it, and therapy. I heard therapy, that you've been in therapy for a minute. And I'm sure that helps you. You talk about your therapist, because I'm sure there may be some days or years where you're probably, and then the other years like, whatever. But when you talked about that heaviness and then that lightness, that's what I'm talking about. The poetic side of you came out. But the heaviness, I'm sure, because that's still a part of you that's missing or gone.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned about the light feeling that you get because you got to a point, or I believe the Lord brought you to a point where you feel that she's at peace, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So I was just picking that up myself from what you were talking, having that balance. That's something to think about.
Mhm.
Hmm. Did you, I know you mentioned that you would have liked to have had some kind of a celebration. Have you guys had any celebration?
Oh, the first year, my sister Angela did this beautiful party at my cousin Teresa's house, and it was around her birthday. This was the first year she had gone missing, and now we're at her birthday. I think when my sister did it in a sense of celebration for Sonya, but also for my mother and also for the family, bringing the family together and to saying that, you know, even though Sonya's not here, we're going to celebrate her. And it was a beautiful party. And so it was, and my sister wanted me there to be able to see every aspect of this party. And I told her, and she's listening right now, and you're getting this for the first time, but believe it or not, my family is probably listening, and she's getting it for the first time as well. And so I got there late. I got there to my cousin's house. I was sitting outside in my car. And so on the way there, I was speaking to a detective. And it was a sergeant. He and I had bonded with this case, with my sister's case. And he told me that they had found hair. And he's like, you know, they would really just give me all the graphics. Okay. And I just knew that it was my sister by the way he was describing this Jane Doe. And now I'm supposed to go into my cousin's home and the celebration for my sister, but you just told me you found a blonde curly wig, and what size was your sister? Because we might have a hit. And so I wept in the car, and I pulled myself together, and I went in, and it was a beautiful celebration, and that was that's my sister went really the whole marathon on that first birthday, and it was a beautiful thing that she did. But yeah, shy of that, we have not come together as a family. I've been kind of leaving that to my mom, and saying, hey, do we want to do a tree? Maybe we could all get together in a beautiful space by the lake, and plant it, with the park district with a tree, and just doing this gentle walk with her, getting her closer to whatever closure looks like. Because really, I don't think that we're going to have it. So it's going to be whatever this closure looks like. So again, Sonya was my sister. However, that is her mother. Okay. And so I'm trying to be that gentle walk. Right. And I think that it's hard. It's hard because I kind of want to be in a jog, but everyone has their pace.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, let me ask you, are the police, is the investigation still going on, or has it ended?
The thing is, I sent out packets. I mean, it was emails and text messages. Every time I would have a call, I would send an email or a text message just to keep everyone honest. Okay, because it was 3 people on the call every Wednesday. So I'm like, okay, the call consisted of, these are the topics, these are the leads we have. And so I would have something in writing. So now I have something in writing, and it's a lot of emails. So I said, okay, I'm not getting what I need to get from the 5th district. So I am going to go ahead and disperse this packet. And so these packets, so every news station got the packet. Chicago PD headquarters, head of detectives got the packet. So I think that no, they're not working the case. They're not working the case at all. My mother most certainly has called this year and in 2020 and spoke to the lead detective. Yavarsky is his name. And let's just go ahead and keep people accountable. So that's his name, out in the 5th district. Okay. And so, yeah, no, I don't think that they're actively working. He, to handle a missing case, that person is not a detective. So people need to know like the ranks within the police force. And they say, well, why do I need to know it? In case something happens to your loved one, you need to know that sometimes it's political. Sometimes they will keep a person in limbo in the missing area when in fact the leads has led them to more of a homicide. But because we're so high in numbers when it comes to homicides here in Chicago, we don't want to look at this as being a homicide, even though these leads lead us there. So we're just going to keep it in this missing, and because we don't want our stats to go up even higher. You just named how many people are missing on that website that you just shared, right? Imagine if you have 100 Black women that went missing, let's say last month, right? Now, 100 might not lead to a homicide, but at least 40 of them will. But 40 people adding to your stat of a homicide. Now, Chicago has been on CNN for having violent crimes, having high numbers with homicide, okay? The previous administration even brought that to attention. Chicago's out of control, with the homicides, right? But some missings actually should be in a different division, okay? And they're not. So they just keep them in limbo. They keep the families in bondage of being right there in that missing division when in fact the leads lead them somewhere else. So is it fair? No, it's painful. It's painful because they know, Chicago PD know that some of these missings have led to homicides, but yet they're not telling the families that. They're not working the cases the way that they should. I can say that my mother, she was initially kind of driving this car when Sonya first became missing. When I got involved, I would say maybe about, a couple of months in or a month in, when I realized that they're just giving my mother the complete and utter runaround, okay? And this is too much stress on her. So, but yeah, no, I think that Chicago PD very well know that some of these missings have turned into violent crimes and homicides, bringing their stats up, and they just are not going to do it. So it's very political. Would they do that? And it's also about zip code, okay? Are they working the case differently based on zip code? Absolutely. Call it out. Let people take accountability that is exactly what's going on. And it's just Chicago and its pockets of segregation, okay? That's what our zip codes are, right? It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It is a system that was put in place by old Mayor Daley, kept in place by his son, putting icing on it with Rahm and good luck Lightfoot, okay? Because it is a beast. It is a beast. And so that's basically, where it is. I think that some of the families, I hope that some of the families can hear me and realize that they're not getting what they need from the officer, because I can't call missing a detective, the officer, then they do need to speak to a sergeant, okay? if they're not getting, and only sit with that sergeant for a couple of weeks. If you feel like that sergeant is not necessarily giving you answers and following up based on your questions, then it's time to go to the captain, right? And a sergeant does not want to get a captain involved, right? And a police officer does not want a sergeant to be overlooking on his shoulders. So it's just the escalation, but you have to know that you can't give a month to a sergeant. You get 2 weeks, let me see what you're about. Then go to the captain. Okay, and it is a fast moving car when you're supposed to escalate, but to leave it on a officer's desk and he may have 17 cases, and for him to follow up and say, oh, I was just following up. You have to hold these officers' feet to the fire. And, really, it's a level of aggression. It is. It's a level of aggression and assertion that you have to do with these detectives or police officers, holding them accountable. And yet again, I come to this road of, I feel like that there is this beating that takes place, that after these calls that I would have, I would feel so incredibly tired and depleted. And so, yeah, I think that when Damon Reed, the artist, painted all these beautiful pictures, I got emotional, not just seeing my sister's painting. First of all, he's extremely talented, and his work is just alive. But to look around this room and see all of these eyes, his paintings are so live. Okay, they're just alive. You can see the spirit of the person, and he's capturing them with their eyes. And he even captured my sister's eyes, right? And I said, my goodness, I mean, I know it's a lot missing, but look at all of these beautiful Black women and all of this pain with all of these families. And so I think that is what got me rather choked up, that, wow, wonder how the detectives handled that family and this family. And so, it's not taking accountability. When I sent out the packets, I got calls from news stations and from ABC, NBC, and channel, I think it was Channel 9 as well. Mm-hmm. And when I told the captain that, oh, well, wait a minute, Bridgette, just wait a minute. We're right here. Let's work these 5 leads. And then if you want to go to the news outlets, you can go to the news outlets. But let's just work. We have 5 leads. We don't want anyone to get spooked with you showing up on the news. Mm. So, so I told the news, let's just put a hold on it. There's some leads that I don't want to compromise the case, right? But it was all, it was all that glitters does not shine, okay? And so the leads that they had led to still no answers. And it happens with cases. However, why am I constantly calling in with follow-up? I mean, why does the family constantly, can it go both ways? Can you pick up the phone and just give the family some information? We have never just gotten a officer. My mother's never gotten a call. I have never gotten a call. It's more so me calling in. All the entire time my sister has been missing, I have never gotten a call.
No.
Yeah, we had set, and I basically had to set this up. I said, we can do set Wednesday meetings because I want a check-in. And I had
to set it up.
I had to set that up. Yeah. And so I said, every 7 days, we need, even if you don't have anything to share, we need to do a check-in because they were not calling. Yeah. So
you know what? I'm sorry. I'm getting more and more angry.
Yeah.
I'm getting more and more angry as I listen to that. But it also attests to even what I've seen on that series that I was watching on this website, because and you guys, please, I hope you heard everything that she said, and especially, the instructions that she was giving you. God forbid if this happens to you or someone what to look for, what the rankings and in the law enforcement, who you need to, be in contact with. But I was looking at also another thing of how with the disparity in the media coverage and also the law enforcement, because they really look at, as far as Blacks are concerned, whatever, like even the young children, if your daughter goes missing or your son goes missing, they will automatically label them as a runaway.
Yes.
And so then if they're labeled as a runaway, they're not going to give that attention to it, but if it is a person of non-color, they're going to label them as a victim. And so they're going to put, all the muscle behind whatever it is to get the push out, publicize it, to try and get them back home. And it's such a horrible thing. You already mentioned about the, I'm sorry, when I asked you about, how it was, why is this term escaping me right now? But anyway, we know that it's unbalanced. Okay. That's not the term she used earlier, but Brandy said here, she said, many so-called cases have been solved by a family that refused, in all caps, to let their loved one's case be neglected. It shouldn't be on them. And it happens far too often. And she was referencing so-called cold cases. But that's one of the reasons why I was asking you, where was the investigation still going on or ongoing? I had no idea that you had to be, or your family had to be the one contacting them, and they really didn't call you. And that angers me to no end. It really does. And I'm trying to, calm myself down so you really won't see, my anger, but I think it's a shame.
It is.
Brandy also says here, I can guarantee that GP's family, she did initials there, didn't have to set their own weekly follow-up meetings. I can guarantee you that too, Brandy.
Yeah. It was basically, it went into, I said, well, my background in corporate is project management. And I said, Bridgette, you may as well just use that skill set and use the time management and the project management. And with project management, there's always follow through and you're sending emails out. So it became like a job every Wednesday. If I did not set this into motion and the captain was on the call and a surgeon, then it would be constantly calling, oh, he's on vacation, he's on furlough. Well, who's taking over his cases while he's on furlough? Oh, we'll get back to you. Okay, someone will give you a call. So I said, yeah, it was too much runaround. So we just needed a firm date in place. And yeah, it's past the point. I mean, Chicago definitely, it is a beautiful, I always call it a Vogue magazine in some areas, right? It's very glossy. I live downtown. It's very glossy. People can come here in Chicago and visit, and we have a beautiful lakefront. That's the glossiness of the Vogue magazine that our politicians want to present.
Yeah.
Then when you go to the back of the magazine, okay, nothing is interesting back there. There's no need to go back there to the back of that magazine. So I look at it and say, yeah, no, it's very glossy. When you get to the nitty gritty of Chicago, it is beautifully painful.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's, you have a beautiful lakefront, but
Yeah.
then you have scars and wounds and pain in Chicago. And in other large metropolitan cities as well. But yeah, so that's basically where it is. I do hope, I hope that missings could be handled differently.
Yeah.
I hope that they would have them in their division for a certain period of time, and then they would pass them on the way they should. They would follow through. The officers would follow through with what they say. The officer that's on my sister's case would say, I'll call you back, to my mother. I'll call you back on Monday. Monday would go and pass. It's Tuesday. Did you hear from the detective? No, I didn't. Well, you know what? I called and they said he's on furlough. He's on furlough, but said that he would give you a call back. So it was, you know, it was that type of nonsense. And, you know, I imagine other Black families are feeling the same way. You know, I don't think that my sister's case is any more special than another Black family that's going through this level of pain. However, I think that some of the pain is the cut is even deeper because of the way that the cases are handled.
Yeah. Wow. You know, as you're talking, you know, I'm seeing comments here. They're throwing them in here. Esmeralda Quinones. I hope I pronounced that right. My heart is going out to you. I'm reading her comment here. She says, yes, my family and I have always been the ones calling them. When her sister was killed, she said, it's exhausting, as you stated also, Bridgette. She said, even when we had leads, they ignored us and made excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And another comment she had here, she says, oh my God, yes, they're off, etc. excuses. Oh, I'm sorry you're getting anxiety, Esmeralda. We're praying for you, sweetie. See, this is why. I mean, I know, again, this is a sensitive topic, but this is why I wanted to address it, because you guys are facing this, you're dealing with this, you've dealt with this, and so many of us don't even realize it. We're around you. We may work with you. We may commune with you in some type of way, but we don't know exactly what it is that you're dealing with. I like to be able to have that platform to be able to discuss, you know, those cases that don't always feel good, but it's actually happening. You know what I mean? So we can't dismiss it. There's so much. I know we're not going to be able to get to everything on today, but you know, I hate the fact, just like you said, that they aren't bringing the attention to these cases and situations that they should. And I do pray that there is a resolve. One thing that I was looking at with one of these foundations, it said, help us find us. Help us find us. And that really stuck with me. And I'm like, God, I want to do whatever I can do to help. I really, really do. There, I don't know if I read this or not, or mentioned this, but there is a fact that Blacks are more vulnerable to being preyed upon by predators and traffickers, especially when it comes to grooming and luring, because those predators know that no one will be looking for that person that's missing, that Black person that's missing. So these predators, they know, you know, if I snatch this one, abduct this one, it'll be okay because nobody's looking for them. That's got to change. That narrative has to change. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that there's some truth to that. I think it was in the early 2000s. And this was in the 5th district. And there were several women. It was huge. It was several women. When I say several, I'm referring to over 10 women that were sex workers in the 5th district, and you know had their Johns, and we don't know whether or not they didn't know whether or not the Johns had actually killed these women, but they knew that they had at least 5 dead Black women that were in some abandoned buildings in the 5th district. So it took about 8 women. You have other women in this district that are getting on the bus and, you know, you have Roseland, you have Pullman, you know, working women, and, you know, that live by themselves. And they didn't put it on the news until about the 5th death, when they realized, oh, you know what, we have a serial killer out here. So they did end up catching the person, but it was another 7 women that was in the buildings in the 5th district. So I agree with that statement of, yeah, no, they know that, okay, I can go to this area of Chicago I can take this child, this teenager, I can become this teenager's friend on social media, and ask for a meetup, and then take this person, take this 16 or 17-year-old, because they're not going to be able to look for her. Okay, they're not going to look for her in the same manner in which they would look for a white child that went to Lane Tech or Whitney Young in that area. And so I'm just calling it out, because that's really what it is. That's exactly what happens. And it's not just to, it's Black and Latinos, okay, that the level of beating, okay, is just not happening. It's not happening whatsoever when it comes to people of color being a homicide, maybe a homicide that turns into a cold case. Would it be a cold case if you work those leads right? Okay. Or whether or not it's a missing that you truly know it should be in special victims, meaning this missing, there's been sexual related leads that you should hand it off to special victims. And so, they just don't do it. But I do agree that you have a lot of sick individuals that are right here amongst us. Okay, when you said you may work with someone that have a loved one missing. You may work with someone also that is a predator.
Yes.
And so know that person, knowing your footsteps and things of that nature. But Chicago, it goes back to that same statement. Chicago is a beautiful, glossy, painful place. Mm-hmm. And we must be aware that, people are so shocked that crime is coming to the downtown area. Oh my God, to the glossy part of the Vogue magazine? We can't have that. We can't have that. And we better line some police cars up down Michigan Avenue and put the flashers on, because people are getting hurt in River North. What is going on? So, so that, it's more, I see more police officers downtown that I have ever seen in other districts, right? And are they protecting the retail? Maybe, okay, with presence. But they're also protecting when it comes to safety down Michigan Avenue, right? So it's a beautiful, glossy, painful place, Chicago is. And we have to be able to, I think that we have a bigger voice in numbers. I think that the Black churches should get involved. You have a lot of Black women in these churches, okay? And if a person joins a Christian church and will say, okay, are you willing to accept the leadership of this church, right? Yeah, I'm willing to accept the leadership if the leader is going to be a leader, okay? And help the community and help Black women. I would like to see some Black ministers, some of these large churches, to get behind us with some voices. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in the community. So we can look at the police and hold them accountable, right? Because we're paying taxes and we want to hold them accountable. However, we're also paying tithes in church, okay? Biblically speaking, from a historical standpoint, that from a Roman Catholic standpoint, that is called taxes, right? And that is the reason why Jesus broke off from the Roman Catholic. These taxes are just outrageous. I'm just going to take a few people down here to the River Jordan, and we're just going to have a conversation or two, okay? Because these taxes here are just a little bit too much. The followers that I have can't afford those taxes. So when we say taxes and tithes, it's interesting that they both begin with a T and they both involve payment. So yes, I'm holding the churches that all of these Black women, some of these Black women attended these churches. Prayer is a beautiful thing, okay, as is action. So yeah, we need to have some soldiers behind us, and those soldiers need to be Black men in those churches, the lead minister in those churches. I need to see them on local news. I don't need you to, stand beside. You can take care of the funeral, but before the funeral happens, I need you to be behind and stand with us and get some answers in these areas that your church reside. Remember those taxes? It's called tithes.
Right.
I got to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
I got to hold you accountable. And so there's enough accountability for everyone to take.
Yeah.
But these families, my family included, my family, some family members belong to some beautiful churches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if some of my family members has shared with some of their ministers that this has happened. But even if I put that to a side, I have to say, Bridgette, have you read about it? Have you seen it on the local news with Black ministers marching on behalf of Black women and Black young teenagers that are being trafficked? Have you seen it? I'm going to say, no, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen enough involvement from the Black church relating to beautiful Black souls that have gone missing and murdered in Black communities. I haven't seen it. And so now we put that on to Chicago PD. Oh, you know what? They don't even care about their own.
See?
It's the circle, you know what I mean? So you know what, let's just, we'll eventually wear them down. They're not really loud enough in numbers. Okay. So when you look at George Floyd, we couldn't help. Everyone was still, okay? Everyone was on lockdown of sort, okay, in 2020, and everyone was watching the television and local news and CNN. And so now we see something traumatic and horrific, that image as to what happened to George Floyd. Some of us actually needed therapy even after watching that traumaticness pretty much every day during 2020, right? And seeing all of these Black men and women that have been, killed at the hands of police officers, right? That's traumatic to watch. But you say, okay, it takes something like a knee to a neck for this level of people to come together and to have a voice. Look how strong and powerful that was.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll just use Cassandra Smith, hypothetically name. And so she doesn't have a knee to her neck, but she's been missing. And the lease has led to sexual assault. I need that. I need the movement of it's too many Black women. I need a movement for Black women. Okay? That's what I need, right? Yeah. So like it was a movement with the previous administration not to actually, come in, not to come in. We did a whole thing at Grant Park marching when he was running for president and all that. But the bottom line is we are hurt in numbers. It's an old saying of you pray, when you come together and pray together, you can stay together. That's basically saying you're praying in numbers. Mm-hmm. Right? And so numbers, having that group is powerful. And we're missing that as Black women and in the community. We're missing Black men and the Black church coming in with a sense of we're not going to have it anymore. Yeah. The gig is up.
Bridgette, you are saying so much, which is powerful. And when you started with, talking about the church, I would agree. I believe that we do need to have that example. And like you mentioned, when you have that, then maybe law enforcement can see that. So what I heard out of that was, if we're accountable and we're, being concerned about our own, then maybe that would open it up, a little bit more. And they say, okay, well, I see that they're really doing something, not just this one family, You know what I'm saying? But on a whole, and I think that we do need to have more of that. My question, did you even see that even during the time that you all have been looking for Sonya when she was missing? It doesn't sound like you did. It doesn't sound like you saw that. So it stands, we have to take a step back and look at ourselves.
Mhm.
And again, I've already said this, whatever platform that we have to be able to do what we need to do, whether we are spiritual leaders or whatever you are, radio show host, I'm going to try my best, ask the Lord to direct me how to, do what I need to do to be able to help. But we all have our own resources. We all have our own things that we do. Again, we will reflect back on Damon. He's like, okay, I love his little saying. He says, I'm just throwing a pebble in the water or in the ocean, trying to see if it'll make a ripple effect and, people will catch on. So he's using, the talent that God gave him to be able to bring attention to this. And so that's all that you were simply saying when you brought in about the pastors in the Black churches. And I definitely agree. A couple of comments here. Mother Knight says, well, God is giving an unction and setting up strategies that the church needs to address. Thank God for women that open their mouth. Yeah. And we need to pray, plan, and purpose for progress. I agree. I agree. So definitely some things need to change. Over here on Instagram, I do see you guys. Nadine Fields, thank you for joining us. And then also Gracefully Made. She says, I've seen churches help in communities, but I also think that we as Blacks need to be accountable, which we talked about. It starts with our community also being held accountable. I think that's what you wanted to say, being held accountable and responsible. So yeah, all of that. Put that in the pot and stir it all up.
Yeah, the key word there is accountability.
Yeah.
The person from Instagram said that we need to look at our own communities. Accountability. Okay. We need to look at the power, because Black churches have a lot of power.
Yes.
And we need to look at the Black church accountability. We need to look at law enforcement accountability. So it's this woven thread of sort that I believe that we're all connected. We can all, you say use your platform. Everyone does not have an Oprah Winfrey or a Tyler Perry platform, but we are to give voice to issues that may not affect us, but affect our community. We are to give voice to that. And so if we know, sometimes we know that this person or that person in our community has done something wrong, we are to call the police. Yes. Okay. Yes. Even though that person is in your family and even though that person is Black, we must still protect our community, thus protect our family. And so I think that that deals with individual accountability as well. So yeah, I think that it's enough, like you said, of a recipe, a stirring of a pot to for everyone to kind of get involved in these layers.
Yeah.
And I think that right now, Damon is trying his most powerful paintbrush to do. He shared with me that he got a grant from the city.
Yeah.
We don't want to beat up the city too bad.
I know, right?
Right? They have given that brother a grant. So I said, that's fantastic. So, but in the same sense, okay, you're going to give him a grant. He's going to paint these beautiful pictures, right? These beautiful women. Then, okay, what's the next piece? What's the next piece? He handled his paintbrush. Thank you for the grant. He handled his paintbrush. Now there is another piece to that, right? So we are not to drive past these beautiful portraits without saying, I wonder what happened to that woman. Wonder what happened. So that's that piece of community involvement, accountability, going right back to the church that's a part of the community, as
Mhm.
well as policing. So it's this marriage that is quite dysfunctional. it's it's the marriage.
Right.
Yes, it's a quite dysfunctional marriage right now.
Yeah. 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 I hear you. I was looking because I'm actually putting in the comment section this website that I have been kind of researching on. But as I'm doing that, I want to ask you, Bridgette, did your family ever kind of like reach out to these or were these foundations available to help you find Sonya or help you in your situation, like the Black and Missing Foundation? Have you reached out to any?
I have not reached out to any of these foundations, nor has any of these foundations ever connected with me. Now, my last name at one point was different. I am not necessarily heavy on Facebook. I'm more of an Instagram. But so I don't know. They may have reached out to my sister Angela because her last name is Rouse, and maybe some of these foundations did reach out to her. She has not shared that with me. So I would feel comfortable with saying that we have not gotten that support, but taken accountability for ourselves individually, nor have we researched and reached out to those. I think I was too busy really chasing and holding Chicago PD accountable for doing their job.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, and that's understandable. I mean, it's not like you can think of everything, if you will.
yeah.
You were doing a lot already. So yeah, I can understand. I just wanted to know, because I know that they say they get phone calls all day, every day, individuals missing. And it is that tells you something right there. It's just a shame that this is continually happening almost, every minute of the day, if you will. But yeah, this is tremendous. What I want to do right now, and I know we only have a little bit to time left, but what I want to do right now is allow you space, if you are ready, to give your spoken word. And I know you've probably written a lot, but I know what I heard in October was just fantastic. So I'm not sure if that's the one you're going to do for us, but I will give the floor to you for that.
So this is a piece that I wrote probably within the first year of Sonya being missing. And it's entitled Her Name, Sonya. So I'm going to look down a little bit because my journal is here, okay? She loves to dance. Maybe there's been too much music. Her energy fills the room, sad eyes hiding guilt and her untold story. Fragile woman not knowing her worth, beaten by circumstances. She's hidden, lost, beautiful and smart, standing with me shoulder to shoulder. Have you seen her? Have you seen her in your nightly image when others are drifting off to their dreams? She's a woman. And yes, she's my sister. Her beauty and intelligence, she's just trying to find her way. She's tall, thin, her mind isn't healed, and her soul is weeping. The night comes, as does her shattered pieces. You see, there's a woman, and yes, she's my sister. She requires protection and love. I'm weakened from my search. She's funny, clever, kind, angry, and she's hurt. I can see her standing before me with all of her sharp pieces requiring minimum, just love and understanding. There's this woman, and yes, she's my sister. Have you seen her? She dances with me still.
Beautiful. I held it together. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I can tell that just came straight from your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're sending up crying emojis. I know, guys, it was very touching, wasn't it? Very touching. Oh my goodness. Joyce, I see that you've joined us. If you guys are just not joining us, I thank you for doing that. We have been talking with Bridgette Rouse, writer, author, sister of Sonya Rouse, and we've just been having our candid conversations on today. On Instagram, they're throwing up the praying hands and the sad faces. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional here.
Yeah. I feel, you know what? I read that piece, and sometimes there's movement, there's this rhythm when I read, and sometimes I can, there's still this dance. But with today's reading, there's chills that just raised on my arms. And I feel that it is the presence of my sister with us on this call.
Beautiful.
And so, yeah, so it felt a little different. It felt a little different reading that today. And I'm grateful. I'm still positive that each and every one of my family members can enjoy some pieces around the holidays of joyful, not necessarily hours or days, but even creating their moments. And I really hope for individuals that have even lost loved ones around the holidays is rather depressing and creates anxiety. And families that have lost, are missing their loved ones is what I'm trying to convey. I hope that they can create, I always say, enjoy your moments. And sometimes those moments are not given. Sometimes we must create these spaces. And so I told Damon and Nicole that I will lean in and give whatever I can give relating to his powerful paintbrush. And I will bring my pen with me and continue to write and give relating to this, because it's a shame that there's so many Black families around the holidays and celebrating birthdays of their loved ones that are still missing and in such pain.
Yeah.
And I think that we're all behind masks, right? Both figuratively and literally.
Right.
We're behind these masks, and I think it's time for the Black community to start peeling away the masks and sharing with your churches. It's difficult for churches, and I have to give some respect to ministers and some Black men in the church. It's difficult for them to get involved when we have not shared stories. Yeah. Okay, and so we have to give our story, and we've given it to the police, but we must beat it down, beat that story in. And continue to let that story be woven in, including in the workspace. Hey, if you're feeling heavy at work and your coworkers don't know why, or your manager says, wonder why this person is so aloof and distant, give your story, because you never know who you could be speaking to that was meant to be on that path at that very moment for you to give that story. So holding things in, I always say, it's a level of disease is what it creates. It clutters the mind and stress the body. So we must continue to speak on things that make us as Black people feel uncomfortable. We want white people to come to the table with questions. We must challenge ourselves and speak on things that make us feel uncomfortable, including mental illness, drug abuse, alcoholism, marriages that are not functioning properly, but yet they're wearing masks. And dressing up is a mask as well. Okay, I'm gonna go to church and put on my Sunday's best, but I am in a really dysfunctional place. We must come away from these fancy masks that we wear, the clothing, the stitching on our back, and become a little bit more humble and more transparent. I'm not saying that you need to give your story to every soul that you pass, but you do need to give your story of truth. And that leads us to mental wellness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like listening. Okay. This is good stuff. Oh my goodness. Good stuff. Esmeralda wanted to thank you, Bridgette. She said, for sharing with us on today, for being so strong, grounded, and humble. She said her heart goes out to you and your family. Prayers for Sonya. Thank you, Esmeralda.
Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, we are definitely. And praying for your family as well, Esmeralda. Angela, your sister, responded. She said, Black and Missing reached out about a year ago. They ran her story again. Okay, so I didn't know. And I meant to go in on their website and type in her name and see if they, had been, but I didn't do it. So thank you for that information, Angela. But she also says here, personally, I feel our Black brothers should step up more in helping to look for our sisters. I can agree with that as well. I can definitely agree with that.
When you think
yeah.
about,
Go ahead.
When you think about when my sister Angela said that she thinks that the Black brothers should actually stand up and support and look for our queens that have gone missing in our community, right? When you think about Jehovah's Witnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when I lived in my home. I sold my home in 2019. And so I lived there for over 20 years, right? And so Jehovah's Witnesses would come to my door pretty much every Saturday. Every Saturday, sometimes I had ran long distance. I'm like, oh my God, they're coming in the afternoon now. I thought it was just the morning. But I say that to say, it might have been two women, but right there next to them was a brother.
Yep.
Keeping those two women door to door safe, right? They would go door to door. That Black man would be standing somewhere near those two women. And I've always said, like, I've never had a knock at the door from, from a Christian standpoint, and a brother was somewhere standing close by to those queens, making sure that they were okay going door to door. Yeah. And so if there are Black men that have been involved, we're not putting them in any dim light, right? No. We just need more of them. We need some soldiers, and we know we got some strong Black men out here, okay? We need the soldiers to soldier up, because sometimes Black women, we get weary, and our backs are not as strong as they have been built to be. Mm-hmm. And, in our weakest moments, okay, we shouldn't have to get weary. We need men, okay, to just step up. And so I agree with Angela that, my sister will definitely put her card on the table, like, bam, no, Bridgette, they did. You didn't know about it, but bam, she's older than me.
Right. But I mean, you already said you weren't sure. You couldn't really speak. So yeah, we can understand that. And that's fine. Then, like you said, you have different aspects, so maybe they were able to get in contact with her because, she had the maiden name, hyphenate her maiden name. Sure. And you mentioned that you had, a different last name, so maybe they didn't know how to reach you. So, but thanks for sharing that with us, Angela, and telling us that they reached out. Because I think I mean, they always say it takes a village, to raise a child, whatever. But it does help to have that extra help, if you will, from other individuals when you're going through, like you said, you get weary, you know, and it gets, you know, become a weight. But if somebody is there to help you and to, you know, raise you up and help lift your hands and, you know, keep your arms lifted, I'm sure that would benefit you all as well. So
I will share for anyone that is listening. Some people are afraid of the process of therapy, okay? Or not, maybe not afraid, maybe that word is too strong and not descriptive enough. Maybe just unsure. What does that process look like? What is, you know, what does that feel like? But, you know, even if your medical insurance is not very all encompassing when it comes to mental health, you can go to the Family Institute at Northwestern, and they have a sliding scale based on income, and it is very generous as to what Northwestern has done. And so there's help there. You can go directly to their website, and everything is, the sessions are via Zoom. So if you're feeling heavier than normal, if you're feeling, okay, if I've had 3 days of feeling low and blue, and you can't seem to pull yourself out of it, it's okay to pray. It's a beautiful thing. And it's also okay to have that marriage with psychology. So, and it's, the resources are out there for us. And I think that we're not taking advantage of those resources. And so that's one resource. I mean, if your insurance covers it, then look into a good psychologist. I think that the search of trying to find someone, that becomes its own piece. And what do I look for in a psychologist and all of that? It is quite foreign for some. And then you have some Black people that will say, hey, well, what are we doing? We just going there and talking? I can just, you know, I can talk to Jesus, which you can. You know, Jesus can fix it. However, it's okay to speak to someone with a PhD, you know? So the mind is your brain. And so if something is wrong and feels out of alignment, okay, with our backs, then we're going to go and see a chiropractor. We're going to see a orthopedic surgeon, okay? And you're going to go ahead and get whatever is hurting fixed. Well, this is hurting. This is hurting. This requires a level of fixing, okay? Surgical, precisely, and giving you the tools to get you through this holiday season, to get you through your tomorrow. I understand what depression feels like. I have been there. I understand what being blue feels like for 3 days and feeling not aligned in my spirit, okay? All of that is okay. What is not okay is to struggle in silence. Is to wear that pretty dress, is to put on that mask, when in fact, you really do need to continue to have your journey and your relationship with God, but to also bring in that orthopedic surgeon, that PhD.
Come on.
You know, so you can have both. We can have both. And I think that Black women take on the family, keeping, some Black women are the husbands and the wives in marriage. You know,
He's taking on everything.
Taking on everything. And then when you have this traumatic event that happens and you're taking on, you know, you have grandmothers that are being mothers now, okay, raising the children. And so you Black women are taking it on so much in our communities. Who do you release to? Who do you release to? So the first thing that you, if it's a woman of God, they're going to say, Jesus. Great. Jesus also pointed you to that heaviness that you're feeling. You were feeling it last month. You were feeling it 3 months ago. You think that the woman that you're going to, a woman or a man that you're eventually going to sit down with, that is a psychologist, you don't think that he had his hand in that relationship, helping that person get their PhD to help you? Okay. So it's all woven. Take advantage of this woven cloth of which we're all covered with. So I just think that we're not, as a community, we're not taking advantage. And guess what? With surgery, after surgery, you're never 100%. You're a new version of yourself, right? So with psychology, when you go in, you're one way. When you get the tools, you're a new version of yourself. Yeah. When you're baptized, you're cleansed. You're a new version of yourself. I love it. It's woven.
Yeah.
You know, it's all woven, and it's okay to have it all. It's okay to have it all. And we deserve it all. Okay? You know, we deserve it. Black women, we deserve it.
For sure. Listen, y'all, Bridgette put on her preaching hat on today. I love it. I absolutely love it, because you are speaking truth, my sister. You are speaking truth. This is so great. I wish we could just go on and on and on, but I know I can't keep you and also my viewers. But I do want to ask you for final words from you. What do you want to be a takeaway from everyone that has listened, from those that will come back in and listen to this recorded show? What would be your takeaway that you want to give everyone? There's two takeaways. Okay. The first takeaway is, when your loved one is missing, that whole 24-hour thing that we learn on television, there's no waiting. If something feels not aligned with your loved one, report immediate, because hour by hour is essence. Also, escalate. If you feel like the officer is not doing his due diligence, not calling you back, it's time to escalate. Your loved one, hour by hour, is missing, okay? And then finally, hold ourselves accountable that we're doing what we need to do, and holding others accountable as well, right? Lastly, I will say this. This is trauma like nothing other. Okay, it's trauma. And with trauma, you have to undo that level of pain. Find an outlet for you to learn some new tools. And I'm pointing you to, if you worship God, Jesus Christ, and have a foundational relationship, continue to walk in that light. But I'm also pointing you to walk into the light of psychology as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Y'all see why we were getting along, why we stayed on the phone forever, because she's talking my language. Oh my gosh, she's talking my language. I am so, Bridgette, I'm so ecstatic of the connection that you and I have made. I really am. And you have been tremendous in our personal conversation. And then also, of course, on today, you have left a lot for us to think about, to dwell on, to make sure that we, do what we need to do to be able to help not only your family, but families that are like the Rouse family. We saw Esmeralda on here, and there may be others who didn't even share that they may be going through a situation like this, but I can't thank you enough. So I appreciate you taking time out. I know you're a busy woman, but I appreciate you taking time out on today and sharing with us and giving us what I believe God has given you to share with us. Our prayers are definitely with you and your family. Angela, I do thank you for coming in today and sticking with us and listening. When I first put up the promo, Angela immediately, thank you so much for this time. We're interviewing my sister. I'm like, oh, that was so sweet, because I don't know what today could do for your family or whoever is watching, or whenever you or anyone else, get on TV or radio or whatever, to share your story. I'm not sure what that would do for your family, but hopefully it's something that would help them, in this journey. And, as you guys are looking at your new normal, if you will. So with that in mind, I'm going to get us out of here, guys. Bridgette, don't go anywhere. I'm going to do my outro, but don't go anywhere because I want to say something to you off camera. If you wouldn't mind sticking around. But guys, do me a favor. I'm so excited that you guys joined me on today on this special segment. You normally do come in, you don't leave me by myself. But I appreciate that. And you guys here on Instagram, on YouTube as well. Thank you for joining us on today and for sharing your comments and that you shared on today. And hopefully there was something that was said that will help each and every one of you. Please join me on next Wednesday. I do have a show on next Wednesday. Dr. Shirley Hill we will have our monthly health and wellness segment. That is the fourth Wednesday, which will be the 22nd, as I look at a calendar, be the 22nd of December with Dr. Hill. And then on the 29th, I will have a young Generation Z. I think she's a Generation Z, and she's got an awesome project coming up. So just stick with me these next 2 weeks as we end out the year of 2021. Go to my website, GetcaughtinANetRadio.com for any updates and everything that I've just said that you may not remember. It will be on there as well. And then I have already posted information regarding my podcast. The second season is coming up in January, so I need you guys to stick with me. Go wherever you get your podcast shows and subscribe to Mind Mending Internet. Yeah, I'm throwing everything in right now. So, and I do want to say I will be on before Christmas, but happy holidays to everyone, and I pray that God blesses each and every one of you. So, with that in mind, I'm going to get out of here, and you guys, thank you so much for sharing with me on today. All right. Take care, guys, and we see ya.
Get caught in a net.
For you to get caught in a net.
For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
All right. I'm sorry. I do tell you at the end of every broadcast, make sure you guys are safe. Wash your hands, 20 seconds. Wear your mask, even if you're vaccinated. Okay, guys? Vaxxed or not, please wear your mask. Be safe. Do your physical distancing, whatever you need to do. We want each and every one of you to be safe. And we will see you soon. Take care, guys. And peace, love, joy, and happiness. Bridgette is throwing kisses at you guys. And I guess I'll do the same thing. Mwah, peace.